Hey y'all, I'm back on challenges. Every few months I replay the entire Dragon Age series at least 2.5 times, I'd say. And recently, while looking up some ways to keep Iron Bull alive in battle, because holy crap, he dies all the damn time, I came across a discussion about changing the weapons of the warriors, their strengths and weaknesses, and then that discussion went into what a full warrior party would look like. Dragon Age Inquisition has 3 companions of each class that will cover every weapon, subclass, and specialization, so there will be no gaps in your party. I personally thought that they should have done this forever ago, but I guess it would have been pretty hard for the Warden to get that many people to join them, and Hawk, they were lucky they even had anyone to follow them into madness. So, in Inquisition, it's possible to have an all-class party in all classes, unlike in older games. The warriors in this game are also my favorites character-wise, so this will be fun. We're going to be turning on some trials to make it harder. We're staying on normal, but there will be no healing, no supplies caches, because what's the point? And we're going to turn on the one where the enemies have more abilities and stuff. My game is modded, but it's all mostly aesthetic. The mods that I do have that even, that affect gameplay is the reveal all maps and reveal all map pins, and also instant war table missions. It just speeds the game up, especially because I play through it so often. We're going to be a 2-handed warrior Kunari male to make the party a good balance of sword and shield and 2-handed. And also recently, I've been dipping my toes in playing male characters in Dragon Age games. However, I only play male characters that I want to be and or have sex with. And yeah, I'll let you decide which one this guy is. Moving on. So we're skipping most of the prologue, but I would like to bring our attention to this Pride Demon fight. It's an absolute pain in the ass, and it's not even because of the warriors, it's because of the trials. The demon can absolutely eat our guard in one hit if we're not careful. But after a few tries, we do eventually kill him. Real quick, look at this derpiness. I love them, they try their best. So skipping past most of the prologue and the visit to Val Royeaux, don't worry, you're not missing much. We now have the option of recruiting both Blackwall
by the name of Blackwall
and Iron Bull.
Come to the Storm Coast and you can see us in action.
We will be doing both, starting with Blackwall. Recruiting Blackwall is fairly easy as we just scale a mountain, swim through a lake, fight some baddies, and officially get them on our side.
Maybe you need me.
I've been putting points into 2-handed for Cass, but keeping her shield. However, with Blackwall in the party now, she gets to have the other dragon weapon, which is the Dragon Maul. Solas and Varric also get to officially retire. Yes, I did have them with me until now, but I kept them at level 1 and didn't revive them if they went down. The barrier may have helped us, but it doesn't matter now. The real challenge begins. We go around and do some easy questing, as there is only 3 of us, until we have the 4 power points needed to go to the Storm Coast. Also, I didn't realize I already had enough power points until after closing this rift, so yeah, extra points all around. For some reason, this fight alongside the Chargers is a little bit complicated. Blackwall and I almost go down, but we got them in the end, and got to meet the Iron Bull.
Damn, it's true. Oh, the Chantry must love you.
With him recruited, that's a full party. We will be siding with the Templars in this playthrough, as it doesn't force us to take Dorian, and it's a slightly easier playthrough in my opinion, with maybe an exception at the final boss fight. So, we farm power points. I specifically go for quests that have a lot of fighting in them, like rifts and taking care of the rogue mages and Templars, with a generous amount of teleporting to camps to restore health between fights, so that hopefully by the time I have enough points, I'll be at a half-decent level for fighting, without wasting time on grinding. So we're going to fight the rogue mages, and after a fight with one mage, my entire party is fucked up, and we still gotta go into this rogue mage cave, so that bodes well. Also, did you know you don't need magic to open these barriers? Yeah, maybe you should, though. Unfortunately, knocking on the mage's door for a solid 5 minutes doesn't leave much room for stealth, allowing the mages to funnel us into magical traps in the narrow passage into the cave. We are pretty much obliterated. And like any sane person would do, I'd try again with no plan on changing tactics and expect the outcome to change. Okay, so that was a bit of a hyperbole, but I'm still absolutely destroyed by these ice mages. It's damn near impossible to get in there. Also, a mage somehow snuck out of the barrier and we cut them down. We still die, but it was pretty funny. Also, now we're respawning at really odd points. I think I broke my game. We die again, but I found out the NPCs weren't high when they were roaring at me. We die again, but I found out the NPCs weren't just high. Roaring at the enemies, dude? What? Okay. We die again, but I found out the NPCs weren't just high when they were roaring at the enemies of the barrier. It actually works, and if you taunt, you can get full guard. Anyway, I die again, and I almost give up, but we eventually make it. The fight against the final mage was touch and go, and there were several very close calls, but in the end, he went down. I will not lie when I tell you I damn near screamed in relief. I get the rest of the PowerPoints and farm resources for crafting off screen. Everyone has custom armor, and some have weapons. And we're ready to face the Templars. Quick aside, skipping this flag game doesn't mess with approvals and also spares Abernash for some reason. The flag thing is good for if you want to get approval from some teammates and want the asshole dead, but we don't need either, so we skip. Starting out is not too hard. The worst part is the horrors, which just remind me that we definitely need something for magic defense. Archers can also chip away at health, which is how I initially lost all my health when my teammates were still full. So it's important to target them and pull them in. The Envy Demon is pretty spot on, except for Josephine for some reason. It's just a real shit impression. Can I say that I just absolutely adore Cole? Maybe it's because I sided with the Templars when I first played the game, but simply hearing his voice brings comfort, even if I don't understand a word he says. But look at the boy, look at him! What a sweet lad with a cute hat. Reminds me of my sister. We escape my own head much easier in-game than in real life, and we end it with a headbutt. Feels kinda targeted, but let's continue. Quick side note, the Envy Demon. That's all. He just creeps me out. He makes me want to look away. It's just indecent. The Great Hall part isn't too bad. I think I die once or twice, but once I get the groove of it, it's over pretty fast. And then there's the barrier part. This is a pain. I die over and over at the same damn part, and honestly, I don't know what I did different to beat it. Once again, the horrors are just a pain. We can defend ourselves against the Templars pretty easy, but the horrors are just awkward to fight. In fact, that's probably how I won, by targeting them. Envy is just painful, especially at the start. We already have no health, and Cole doesn't jump in until later. After a few tries, it boils down to someone staying alive and reviving someone. I don't think I could keep more than 2 people alive, with the secondary objective of avoiding his jump attack, avoiding his range, and avoiding his screaming. Then, the extra enemies spawn. We die after this too, but this stage gives us guard from taunting, and it also gives us Cole. Once we get past it, we're pretty much home free. Also, real quick, I didn't even see how Envy died. He just kind of disappeared in a puff of smoke. Looking back, I think he stepped on a spike and lost the rest of his health. Because I know we didn't do enough damage to Thanos snap him like that. Regardless, the demon is dead and the Templars are now on our side. Hey! You get those swords away from my boy! Good. That's what I thought. Moving on. Before we do the next quest, it's important to make myself a sword and check in on my teammates. Bull doesn't like mind tricks and Blackwall isn't a fan either.
A demon who wears someone's face. I imagine it makes trusting others risky.
Well, it's a good thing that's not a theme in this game and there's no irony in that sentence whatsoever.
With the breach closed, that alliance will need new focus.
Forces approaching! To arms!
Deus Ex Enemy March. Okay, so I keep getting this annoying glitch where my teammates are just sort of stuck in place. They can avoid enemy aggro, but I never know they're glitched until I'm dead and I have to fix them. Hence why Blackwall and Cassandra were just fine while Bull and I dropped dead. And let me tell you what, you can replace Blackwall with Cassandra or Bull in your playthrough, if you want to die. This bastard can literally stay alive for anything. He's almost as tough as Aveline. His back must be okay, hold on. His back must be killing him after how hard he carries this team. Yeah, I know, if you just put points into the more tanky skills for the others, they're fine. But man, there's just something special about Blackwall. He also gets the best specialization for tanking. And he's a lovely person all around. So we bury the enemies, which is a huge dub, before a fucking Archdemon Dragon beast comes swinging, which is a huge L. Also, I casually kill myself here because Thren died and I wanted to rescue all the town people. It's not necessary, but I hate that if they die, you have to work with the replacements, especially Maeve. I hate that creepy twinkle that takes her place. And yeah, I know now, coming back in and writing the script, that they get replaced anyway. It's bullshit. Corypheus is a pretty weak villain, but this whole part is cool as hell. And also, this line specifically has haunted me for years.
Beg that I succeed, for I have seen the throne of the gods, and it was empty.
Anyway, I don't show that super long walk. It's a relief when playing for the story, but it's a slog when you just want to get another playthrough done. I also skip through the singing. Before Solus pulls us aside. He gives us some friendly advice to scout north, and we find this little-known fortress called...
Sky.
Gee, what a nice guy that Solus. Anyway, we skip through all the boring shit, and eventually we find Hawk. And he looks constantly mad for some reason. I also find it important to catch up with my party and make sure everyone settles in well. Blackwall Sorry, this part makes me so mad. Blackwall pushes me to portray myself as Andraste's chosen, whether or not it's true, because it gives the people who flock to my banner hope. Definitely not thematically relevant, and I will probably not have to ever bring it up. Iron Bull humbles me, and also sort of proves Blackwall's point.
But you can't see something like that and not believe.
which I'm sure he's happy about, standing off to the side like that. We go to check in on Cassandra, and, oh dear. Well, we break up the infighting, which gets serious.
Varric is a liar, Inquisitor. A snake.
And reassure Cassandra that what's done is done and that Hawk is here now. I also decide to talk to Varric, even though he's not part of the party, and he once again proves he's the best character in the franchise and he can literally do no wrong. I go back to see Cassandra, and immediately I catch her reading shitty smut fiction that Varric... Why did I write this? Hold on. I go back to see Cassandra, and immediately I catch her reading shitty smut fiction that Varric wrote while high on horse tranquilizers, and now I have to team up with him to give Cassandra the only thing she wants. Oh, Jesus Christ, what was I thinking? Also, holy shit, she is so cute. I was torn between a romance between Cassandra and Bull. I'd like to keep the romance in the party, and decided that I never get to romance Cass because I'm never a guy, so I'll do it now. And wow, she makes me blush. She is just so adorable, which you wouldn't expect from a typical dark hair badass girl, but it's true. I love seeing her enjoy things. So of course, I go to Varric again and get that damn book written. What can I do? What can I do? Everything is for Cassandra. Also, side note, Varric is actually a pretty good writer. Unsurprising considering he's a pretty good storyteller. Whoever writes the Dragon Age books should write the in-universe book Hard in Hightown and release it. I'd read it. Bonus points if they actually credit Varric Tethras as the author. Then I'd buy, and I don't know why I said this, at least 5 copies. That's what it says in the script. Alright, we're at the Warden's hideout now, and after some shenanigans, and... Oh, you're not who I was expecting. Alistair, or maybe even Stroud, but definitely not you. You know, there's something about looking and preaching about how the Blight almost destroyed Ferelden, as if he didn't also almost destroy Ferelden himself. It would have been over before it began if his ass took the Blight and the Grey Warden seriously. Although I guess the same could be said about Kaelin. Either way, he takes the Grey Warden seriously now, as he tells us about the corruption among the ranks. We have a meeting point in the Western Approach, but I hyperfixate on crafting for way too long. Like, I was just way too focused on it. Like, I get so caught up in crafting that I also unlocked the Emerald Graves, literally just to get some tier 2 medals that boost Constitution. Trust me, you're not missing anything, except for the extra history I was listening to. And eventually I was just like, okay, what the hell am I doing? And decided that if I wanted to get this challenge done before I died, I would just have to quickly wrap up my crafting and move on with the main story. Not before we stop by and give Cassandra her book, however. And in doing so, we also get her personal quest. Alright, the position of my mic is better, but I can't breathe, so let's do this quick. Also, can we just take a moment to stop and appreciate this little moment right here? When Varric tells Cassandra to thank the Inquisitor and that little Cassandra greatly approves message pops up, I don't know. I audibly yawned at that. I thought it was cute. There were hearts in my eyeballs. Anyway, we do this little bit in the Western Approach, and I have mixed feelings on this part. On one hand, I didn't skip the dialogue at all because I was pretty interested, or at least I thought it was funny how he was just monologuing only to get his shit rocked by me. But on the other hand, we fight our way here just to get expositioned, fight an easy fight, and get led right back to Skyhold. But I suppose Hawk's over-aggressive attitude and Loghain's awkward deflection never gets old. I decided now is a good time to go back into the Crestwood quest. The Kaer Bronak fight, also if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I don't know what to tell you. That's how it sounds weird even in my head. The Kaer Bronak fight was rough, but we managed to do it in one try. And not to sound like a broken record, but holy shit, Blackwall cannot die. It's impossible. He came close a few times, but he just refuses. I think I need to tinker with Cassandra and Bull's tactics as they aren't used to the respective weapons, but I remember reading somewhere that it seems one of the only things that AI and Inquisition is good at doing is tanking. And that rings pretty true, especially for Blackwall. But it's a bit unfortunate in an all-warrior party, because we can't just have 3 tanks. After defeating the Bandit King, or whatever he was, we get a pretty cool maul for Cassandra, and we get some pretty massive power points for recapturing Kaer Bronak. We fight demons in Old Crestwood before finding the flooded caverns, and with it, the whole reason I wanted to do this quest early, Stormheart, one of the first tier 3 medals you can grab. So, the Rift was a pretty simple thing. It had 5 stages to get through, if I remember correctly, but most of the enemies were weak and low-tiered. It's amazing how the worst part of the whole quest is just the quest you need to do before it. We get back to New Crestwood and, oh, would you look at that. The mayor just confessed that he flooded the old village to stop the Blight from destroying all of them, which is understandable, and then left before anyone could confront him on it, which is an asshole move. But that's Crestwood finally done with, and now we can get back to Skyhold and finish Here Lies the Abyss. But of course we need a few more power points, so before I get those, I make a dope-ass great axe for me. While grinding for PowerPoints, I come across what I can only describe as a rabid August ram in the Emerald Graves. It didn't let us near, but I literally couldn't go out of battle because it stayed close enough to count as an aggravated enemy. It led us into like 3 traps and another quest before it cornered itself. You have no idea how satisfying it was to kill the little bastard. Back to the main quest. God, I get so salty. Back to the main quest. Immediately starting out the siege, Cassandra steps on an ice trap and fucking dies. She will now have low health because she is an idiot. And oh my god, that pisses me off. Like, just don't step on it. It can't be that hard to code. Also, don't look at this part where I do the exact same thing. On to something a little bit less funny. The last Pride Demon fight is an actual demon to fight. I think I spent like 5 minutes on it. This whole part of the quest is a nightmare. I hate the siege. And also, this Pride Demon fight was an absolute pain. It took so long that I just started running as a solo Blackwall, hoping, praying for something different to happen. And all I can say is that it did. It literally just disappeared. It still had plenty of health too. This game can get glitchy as hell when running solo, so I guess it was just a funky solo glitch. And not a moment too soon because even Blackwall was running on fumes. A few things about this scene. One was that it was very satisfying watching Chlorel launch a lightning bolt up this dude's ass. So I actually really like what little we see of Chlorel as a character. I think she's interesting and driven. I also really like this part here where she starts saying the Grey Warden mantra, but it collapses before she can say in death sacrifice. Because she doesn't need to. It's just sort of an unspoken line that hangs heavy as our heroes try to escape. I don't like this part where the Inquisitor goes back to save Loghain though. Should've let him die. This next part would be much easier. The Fate is definitely an interesting setting. Bull gets mad that we're dragging him through actual hell, and Cassandra seems out of breath to meet this weird wrinkly old woman. Upon further inspection, we find out she's the Divine, and upon even further inspection, she actually isn't? Anyway, I actually really like this part. Here Lies the Abyss, and specifically only the Fade part, is one of my favorite parts of the game. It lets you get to know your party even deeper, as well as your partner's Hawk.
Did you think you mattered, Hawk? You couldn't even save your city. Anders is going to die.
I'm going to enjoy killing this thing.
And the Warden.
Cairn Logan McTeer, the brilliant commander. Pity the one time you tried to rule, you failed so miserably. You even doomed the Wardens by bringing the Inquisitor down on them. You destroy everything you touch.
Is that all you've got? It's nothing I've not said to myself.
Like this graveyard that tells you a few of your companions' fears. Blackwall fears himself, and Cassandra fears helplessness. I guess Iron Bull doesn't have any deep-seated fears other than, I don't know, demons. This part also lets us see more of Hawk's over-aggression and Loghain's awkwardly calm deflections, as well as a hint of sexual tension this time. And upon the furthest inspection, maybe the spirit is the Divine? No matter, she punches the Eldritch Horror Demon to the deepest pits of hell, or at least a few feet away. Long enough that we can kill the little predator version of it. And let me say, this whole part is so much easier than the first half of the Here Lies the Abyss quest. And here we are. The pits of hell aren't that deep, and the horror machination thing is back. And someone has to stay behind to let the rest of us get away. Loghain is old and past his prime, but it is kind of funny to sacrifice Hawk to see Varric's reaction. But I sacrificed the Hawk for Loghain once, and let me say how much of a waste it was to see a young, bright-futured Hawk die so this old dude could prance around with the Wardens. And with that asshole gone, the first big quest of the second act is over. And of course, that means some nice chats with everyone. God, I get thirsty in chat. What the fuck? I get horny on main in the script. I had some conversations with Cassandra, and holy shit, you have no idea how badly I want to see these two just fucking kiss already. Like, wow, holy shit.
Is that what you want?
No. I take it back. That is what I want.
This bitch playing with my heart. But we do what she asks, and we have a night of candlelight and romantic poetry. Alright, now let's leave our lovers alone to read all night. We have a Corypheus to stop, which means more off-screen grinding. And just like that, we're off to the Grand Ball, or whatever it's called in Hellam Shiral. This Weasley usurper thing invited us, and it's the best we got. And because Olay is extremely racist, nobody likes me. I had to actually look up guides to get court approval because it was so low. I didn't feel comfortable sneaking off and losing approval when it was already so low. Our friends have some pretty interesting interactions. Colin is a pretty white boy who has an actual line of men and women who desperately want to dance. I also quite enjoyed watching Josephine talk with her little sister. She's adorable. And Blackwall had an interesting exchange with a drunk noble.
I don't think we've met, my lord.
Your face is so familiar. More wine. It will come to me.
Anyway, depending on how invested I am and how quickly I can get through it, this quest is either a drag or kind of fun. And this time I had fun. The ending didn't quite turn out how I planned, but we took down Florian and the Empress is safe, and that's what really matters. Cassandra and I have a quick dance, and when we get back to Skyhold, we talk about the Chantry, the next Divine, share a little kiss. Iron Bull got a little excited at my new cologne in Blackwall. Oh boy, Blackwall. We go to a bar together and awkwardly sit around, which makes me laugh really hard, but this next part didn't. So, I've never been through this scene without being in a romance. And man, let me say, being in a romance softens some of this dude's edges. He immediately starts unprompted trauma dumping some really, really bad shit. Like, I'm cropping out the subtitles because I was really uncomfortable with the story. And even when I try to lighten the mood, he remains, like, really mad and not to sound like a fucking child, but drops one of the few F-bombs in this game. And I'm not moved by swearing, but like I said, it's the first time I've seen him like this, and you know, I put the game down. I just put the game down. The next day, Blackwall's gone, and damn it, that's no good. We're useless without him. So we tracked him to Val Royeaux, and, oh shit.
Warden Blackwall is dead. I am Tom Rainier.
We're pretty mad at Blackwall, but even if he told me he ate babies, I still can't lose him. Our team is as good as doomed. So, of course, we have to get him back, and let me just say, it is so satisfying to be mean to him in this moment. I've always been soft on him in the past because in his romance route, he throws himself at your feet, and damn it, I am too soft to be hard on him. But this time, well, we still have Blackwall with us, and that's what matters. While doing some off-screen grinding, Blackwall and Bull were the only two who would banter, and it was mostly just Bull being super understanding. Honestly, what a lad, he's a better friend than I am. He's an even better friend to me than I am to him, because I fast-traveled to see if I could do his quest before ending up getting distracted by Cassandra and starting the next story quest. And by the by, I'm just gonna say this now, for some reason, I never got Bull's loyalty quest to trigger. It's a little bit upsetting because I thought we were close. It's not like I didn't care, it just didn't trigger. And we all know what happens if it doesn't trigger. And well, that's a problem for future trespasser me, which you probably won't have to worry about, unless you want to worry about it. Drop your thoughts down below, I already have better ideas on how to optimize the party. We start what Pride had wrought, and it's fairly simple. I stop and collect every single resource that I forgot to use in the late game and teach Cassandra this nifty trick to heal us whenever she dies, which is the peak of her build. It is the pinnacle of her career. Instead of surviving, she has become the second most useful party member by dying. I'm faced with a choice to either chase after the evil witch girl or do these stupid puzzles that I definitely didn't. Oh, it looks like I accidentally erased whatever's in my script right here. Didn't what? Me? Didn't what? My team gets pissed at me, but I do the puzzles. However, instead of following the temple, I just jump in the hole in the floor because that's more fun. Also, these freaky elf things aren't mad at me, so that's a plus. We follow this frustratingly slow guide who gets uppity the moment I stop for even 1 second to loot before throwing us in a battle with the Venatori. Luckily, not all the elven gardens are lithe hunters with bows. Some of them are absolute brutes. They fit right in. The fight with Calpurnia is fairly simple. She's not as floaty or hidey as the other mage bosses, but she hits pretty hard. It gets dicey for a moment, but I didn't have to retry, which is a relief. After some chatting, the freaky elf guy steps aside and lets Morgan and I have a splash fight, and wait, what? She wants to drink out of it? She probably knows better anyway. My team disagrees, however, apparently, every single one of them, even though the alternative is me, a Qunari with no elven knowledge and no stakes in elven knowledge whatsoever, to drink out of the Well of Sorrows. So even if they didn't like what I did here, it was for the best. After returning home, apparently Morgan's son opened the Alluvian, which, like, when did she have a son, and when did we allow her to bring him? Skyhold has a strict no-kids policy here. But he isn't here anymore, he's in the Fade. Then there's this boring-ass exposition that I hardly understand and hardly care about. But this old lady can turn into a dragon and tells Morgan that she can also turn into a dragon and kick the enemy dragon's ass. And with that, we're at the final push. This part was a miserable slog. The strategy to get past these parts weren't clear, and for times where Corypheus was just perched, I had to resort to pulling him in with Whirlwind. And I just kept dying and dying. I ended up stopping the recording and listening to a video in the background while I tried to get further than this one part. It took me like 5 days. Also, the old lady in the well was bullshitting us for sure, because the dragon just killed Morgan. And now we have to do all the hard work. Speaking of hard work, I rushed way too much to finish this game. The boss fights for this parts are all boring as hell and take way too long. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out how to beat this dragon. You're supposed to hit each leg until they're bleeding, and then they can take no more damage. Then you go for the head. It's a classic formula, but the health bars weren't very clear. Still, we killed the beast eventually. It took about 20 minutes, but there wasn't a TKO, so that's something. The final boss fight also sucks. Again, no TKO, but it took so long and there were so many frustrating attacks that would just one-shot you at low health. But once again, Blackwall's inability to die and Cassandra's ability to die and save our asses helps us, and in the end, we beat Corypheus. Fun fact, this is my second time ever beating this game. Yeah, I have an issue with starting new games. And with that, the game is done. Aside from some post-game congratulations, but the battle is over. This was very hard, and I got caught up on some pretty dumb things, but I'm glad that I did the trials, even if I barely benefited from the rewards. Like I said, there are just some things I would do differently. I was so focused on varying our weapons and abilities that I didn't think to diversify our roles in the party. Blackwall, of course, would be our tank, but I think I could have switched Cassandra's weapon with mine, with her doing AoE and I would damage one enemy at a time. I would almost be like a kind of role that a duelist rogue would take on, focusing on engaging and killing off singular enemies. Cassandra, I would definitely make more supportive. I'd probably focus more on her, like, once we hit level 11, I'd focus more on the Templar tree. Iron Bull I would keep as damage, sword, and shield, but I would go down that path a little bit more, because he was also just a bit of a hodgepodge. But yeah, I just sort of winged everything this playthrough. But yeah, let me know if you want to see more of this team or another Dragon Age challenge. I'm already working on an all-mage playthrough directly after this one ended. Also, let me know if you want to see me do more challenges for the older games. I could do an all-warrior party in Origins, and an all-mage party in Origins with mods, and I can also do an all-rogue party in Dragon Age 2. I think it would either be fun and challenging, or impossible and I'll quit halfway through. Either way, you can bet I won't make it easy on myself. We'll see. But thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment down below if you have anything to say. I love you guys, and goodbye!